Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Ships of Naval Action. Today we will be taking a look at the last, second to last, depending on how you view it, first-rate ship of the line to cover in naval action for us. This is the HMS Victory. What a beauty. HMS Victory would start her life in 1758 where she was ordered, and she was laid down on the 23rd of July 1759, launched 7th of May 1765. She wasn't commissioned until 1778, however, due to there not being a war going on and first rates being quite expensive to build. She was the equivalent of 9.19 million today, which doesn't sound like a lot for the best warship at the time. However, when you consider, I believe that was like 2% of Britain's GDP, that puts that into perspective. 2% is what every NATO member is guided to give in total to their entire military. And this was just a single ship. This ship was designed by Sir Thomas Slade, who ended up designing an amazing ship. However, there were some drawbacks. She ended up listing too much to starboard, which was later rectified by just some ballast, simple enough. And the lower gun decks were a bit too low. She was lying too deep in the water, which meant that she couldn't open her gun ports into heavy weather. But first of all, that wouldn't really be of consequence in any of the actions she was in. And second of all, that is kind of a thing with most bigger ships of the line, so it's not really a thing. She did also face an issue on her launching, in that she was too big. The dock gates couldn't let her through. So they had to remove a bunch of timbers from the dock gate to actually launch HMS Victory. Before actually facing any action, Victory would also go through a period of time where she would have 32 pounders on her bottom gun deck, then 42 pounders, then 32 pounders again, and then 42 pounders again, and she would end up with 32 pounders for various reasons. However, throughout her history, she would be replaced with 42, 32, kind of going back and forth, but overall 32 pounders were the preferred for HMS Victory, because 42 pound cannons, they were just too heavy, too slow to reload, and 32 pounders were powerful enough, so 32 pounders won out. So HMS Victory would go through a lot of actions, so we're going to keep it simple, and I'm just going to list the actions. If you want to read more about which actions HMS Victory took part in, you can go through Wikipedia or whatever, watch someone else's. I believe Drakenafil, however you pronounce his channel, has videos on HMS Victory. Highly recommend his channel. Go check it out. So, in early service, before she was reconstructed at some point. She was an old ship at some point. She still is, but she was as well. She would take part in the first Battle of Ushant, the second Battle of Ushant, the Siege of Gibraltar, and the Battle of Cape St. Vincent. So she took quite a few battles between 1778 and 1798 when she was reconstructed, where she was converted to a hospital ship. Well, she was supposed to be converted to a hospital ship. However, on the 8th of October 1799, HMS Impregnable was lost off Chichester, and Victory was back in action. She was upgunned to 104 guns from 100 guns. Her magazine was lined with copper to avoid sparks and give some more protection, and the open galleries along her stern were removed. So that is the version we have in naval action right here that we're looking at. This is the after reconstruction version of HMS Victory, and this gave her also the famous Nelson checker painting. Speaking of Nelson, in 1803, Admiral Nelson would hoist her colors on HMS Victory, where she would take part in the Battle of Trafalgar, where sadly, Nelson would get shot. However, not following a victory. So, well, not following. He would die before the victory, but HMS Victory would give a victory to the British fleet. Well, among all the other men that were part in the battle, details. After Trafalgar, however, the Admiralty would consider Victory too old. She would be derated to a second rate in 1807, and major repairs would be undertaken in 1814. One unique thing about this repair in 1814 is that there were metal braces along the inside of her hull fitted, which was the first of this type, which made a big improvement, and you would see it a lot more as we went through history until at some point we would go fully metal ships as we have today. From 1817 she was relisted as a first rate carrying 104 guns. Her condition however remained poor, and in January 1822 she was towed into dry dock and had more repairs to her hull done, refloated in January 1824, where she was designated as the Port Admiral's flagship for Portsmouth Harbour, which she is in today. In 1831, the Admiralty issued orders for the Victory to be broken up. However, due to public outcry, that didn't happen. Also in 1843, Princess Victoria would visit, as well as in 1844, which would bring up her popularity, which helped keep her alive. However, in late April 1854, Victory sprang a leak and she sank, so rest in peace, but not for long, she was refloated. However, it doesn't get much better. She didn't get any money for maintenance or anything, well, a small amount, but not big. And in 1887, she would spring a leak again. She survived, but she was not in great state. In 1889, Victory became home of a signal school, which helped a bit. However, there was a lot of foot traffic and such, and she kept on deteriorating. Sir Edward Seymour visited the vessel in 1886 as a flag captain to the commander-in-chief of Portsmouth, and recalled in 1911, "A more rotten ship than she had become probably never flew the pennant. I could literally run my walking stick through her sides in many places." Not really a good sign. The school also remained in HMS Victory until 1904, when training was transferred to HMS Hercules. During this period of time, the British was also engaged in an arms race with the Germans, which meant that Victory still wouldn't see any funds, and she would be a terrible state until 1921. HMS Victory was in very poor state, and a public Save the Victory campaign was started, with shipping magnate Sir James Caird as a major contributor, and on the 12th of January 1922, her condition was so poor that she was moved into the number 2 dock at Portsmouth, where she is today. The oldest dry dock in the world, still in use, with HMS Victory on board. Well, not on board, but inside of her. And this sparked a public discussion on what would happen with HMS Victory. Where would she be? Well, she was moved into service with the British Navy, and this is where she is now. Victory is at the number 2 dry dock, and she won't be seen moved. She was refloated once to readjust her ship, like her level, adjust the supporting cradle. However, HMS Victory, she is there today, and we will not see her moved. She would survive World War II, however, she was damaged by a 500-pound bomb by the Luftwaffe, which broke her keel. But the Victory still stands. So that basically covers the history of HMS Victory. HMS Victory, she is the oldest commissioned ship in history. She isn't, or still in service, she isn't the oldest floating, that belongs to the USS Constitution. However, she is the oldest ship still in service, as she still is a flagship for the British Navy. She is also a museum ship. You can visit her, and she is repainted into now what we believe is the original colors, which is more of a pink instead of a bright yellow. And I visited her last winter, and she is a lovely ship. I definitely recommend watching her. Sadly, I didn't get to see her with all her rigging, but it was still a beautiful sight to see. It was interesting, and me, as a tall person, it was miserable, to be honest. Like, I would not be able to serve on HMS Victory, or for that matter, I wouldn't be able to serve on a lot of ships. So in naval action, what is she? She is a lovely ship. She is the smallest first-rate ship of the line in naval action, with 106 guns, 42 pound on the gun deck, 24 pound on the middle gun deck, 12 pound on the top gun deck, which is the same as every other first-rate in-game, and 12 pound on the weather deck, which is not the same as every other first-rate in-game. She can also uniquely carry 68 pound carronades on her weather deck, the only ship in-game to do that. And I would highly recommend the 68 pound carronades. They're lovely. They provide some firepower, and it helps make up a bit for the lack of firepower compared to the other first rates. She has better firepower than all the second rates. The Christian, for example, gets quite close. The Christian is basically just the first rate, but a bit smaller. But, you know, she doesn't quite get there. The Christian doesn't quite get there. The Victory is a solid ship, and she is fast. Historically, she was considered a fast ship, In game, she is the fastest, most agile first rate, and she's faster and more agile than the Christian and some other second rates. Which is, honestly, she is a great vessel. Highly recommended. She doesn't have the most armor or structure or anything compared to other ships, other first rate. She is the smallest. She also suffers a lot from only having 850 crew, unlike L'Ocean, for example, which has 1100, or the Santissima, which I believe has 1050. It is a huge weakness on the part of the Victory. However, she is a solid little ship. Definitely recommend. I mean, she is the flagship of Nelson during the Battle of Trafalgar. There is some... You can't just ignore her. And I think she is the prettier... she isn't... I don't know. She is a good enough looking first rate. She isn't the Santissima. So, with that, I do hope you all enjoy. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and all of that. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!